Okay. So joining me today is Robert Grant. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Nick. Good to see you again. And thank you for setting up the webinar today.
No worries. No worries. I know we've had a few technical issues this morning trying to get everything set up. But I believe we are ironing them out as we speak. So just to give you a bit of background, my name's Nick. I'm a director at Capium. I've been there for the last 7 years. And really what I try to do is help. We try to champion accountants by giving them tools that essentially make their job of keeping up with compliance and servicing their own clients just straightforward and easy. And Robert?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. It's Robert Grant here. I'm the head of customer experience here at Initor Global. We provide outsourced accounting services to over 100 UK accounting practices and other businesses. And as Nick said, the subject matter of today's webinar is about how to boost productivity and efficiency, maybe through an outsourcing solution rather than relying on AI. Certainly accounting firms that I speak to, they're facing unprecedented challenges from a number of areas, not least increased customer expectations, increased competition, need to recruit and retain talent, and of course the speed of technological change. So we're going to keep coming back to a few themes in today's webinar, mainly around how artificial intelligence, it might be a hot topic for many accountants just now, but there are other ready-made solutions available which can help you improve your productivity and efficiency. So that's what I would say from my side, Nick, by way of introduction.
No, brilliant, Robert. And I think just to echo your sentiment, I think as we've seen, last year it was year of the crypto. This year it's kind of year of AI. And I think it's great. It's really interesting and engaging to have these topics of which we can all be maybe distracted by, but I think sometimes we just need to take a look at maybe some processes, tools, software, outsourcing companies that are already available in the marketplace today that can actually make an impact on your firm, almost instantaneously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share my screen. And I hope everyone can see it. Just give me some thumbs up and let me know if you can see everything. Okay. Can you see this, everyone?
Yeah, if you put it on slideshow, it'd be great.
Yeah. Brilliant. And before we just get started, everyone, I just want to say we want this to be interactive webinar. So please feel free to ask questions and please let us know where you're joining from, what you're looking to take out of today. Have you tried outsourcing before? Or please be against the grain here. Do you use AI in your practice and how has it helped? So please feel free to jump in and, share your insights. That would be much appreciated. So Robert, please take it away.
Okay, if you start flicking through the slides, we'll go to the agenda slide. So really, I'd like to sort of, kick off with, how outsourcing can help accountants deliver better results with a ready-made solution to sort of productivity and efficiency challenges. But I'll give you a perspective from my side on where I think we are now with artificial intelligence. I'll then take a deeper dive into how to implement outsourcing effectively, take you through some of the key stages of outsourcing, and then once it's in your practice, how to make the most of it to boost your bottom line and also to improve customer experiences. And I'll give you some practical examples from Initor Global customers as well over how they've managed to implement outsourcing effectively. So if you just flick on to the next slide, please, Nick. I think this is a personal take on artificial intelligence and where we are now. It's very much based on discussions with Initor clients and listening to industry networks and the profession more generally. And I think from the outset, I need to say that what I'm hearing is that artificial intelligence impacts for many accountants tend to be mixed. There are, it seems to me, some quite high barriers to entry for accountants looking to implement AI and make a difference to their practices. Of course, we've seen how AI can be used efficiently to analyse huge amounts of data and run tasks efficiently. And some of our customers, they are using AI to help with their risk management arrangements and also around fraud detection, where they may be carrying out audits for some clients. Some of our clients are dipping their toes into preparing standard reports for some of their clients based on data and contextual information. But what I'm hearing from many of our clients is that there are very high barriers to entry around implementing AI effectively. Investment is needed in infrastructure, often commercial software, upskilling people, buying in expertise if you don't have the skills within house, and also keeping clients informed about the pace of change with AI and how it may impact the way services are delivered to them. So taking all that together, talking to our customers, many feel that AI isn't really offering the efficiencies they need or providing better services to clients.
And I think just to add to that, Robert, you know, at our trade shows that we attend and conversations that I have, people come up to us and go, does Capium have AI in it? And I was like, well, what would you like? How would you like Capium to present AI to you? Or what would you like AI to do? And people don't really know that next step or that next kind of answer to that question. It's just that they kind of want AI, not to be mean here, but as a tick box almost, you know, just to say, okay, your software does AI. And I think this is where we currently are at the moment, especially from a software development perspective. It's just trying to understand actually what can AI do and what can't AI do. Like one of the things where we have implemented AI, or I call it automation, is we have chatbots in our software where you can ask kind of a robot or AI some questions about, you know, compliance or how to do this, how to do that, and it tries to give you like the solutions or its best guess. But as soon as you start to ask it something a bit more complicated, it kind of has its limitations, and then it kind of reverts to contact a human, you know. So I thought I'd just share that insight for you, Robert.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the capabilities, applications, as I say on the slide, are emerging every day, along with limitations and also ethical dilemmas. So if you flick back to the last slide, Nick, I'll just, you know, expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, processes such as data collection, automation you mentioned, data analysis, these can be completed, you know, quickly and efficiently using AI, no doubt about it. But human intervention is still needed to examine those outcomes. And of course, AI can be prone to error, misinterpretation, and it can also produce false or misleading results, which often lack context. So you need really strong data assurance controls around any AI that you introduce to your practice. So that's a real ethical dilemma for some accountants. They've got, on the one hand, you know, the thirst for information from clients, but on the other, making sure they have strong controls in place to make sure that that data can be relied on. So human interaction is still going to be needed. Sharing data-driven, real-time conclusions, of course, can pay immediate returns with certain clients who are thirsty for that information, and it can help you with upselling services or anticipating future needs of clients. But certainly listening to our customers, the human touch will have a bigger impact with a client than any auto-generated report by AI or any other automated means. So what I would say to you, bringing all that together, that embracing different models of service delivery, including outsourcing, can offer you a more ready-made solution to your productivity and efficiency goals.
So now, sorry to jump in, but also just tried and tested. You know, I was having a conversation a week ago with someone who was presenting us an AI solution for receipt scanning, and great, but the issue is right now, it was still in its testing phase, and there was still actually going to be a lot more human interaction to actually qualify the data and to make sure that the AI is doing what it's supposed to do correctly. And then there was a cost element of it. It's actually really quite expensive, actually. And so currently we've got a new product coming out, and we use OCR scanning. And that's like a fraction of the cost. Whereas this AI seems to be in this kind of beta version of it. It's not perfect and it's expensive. So maybe in 6 to 12 to 18 months, when AI fully matures and it becomes more effective, it's more cost effective, then you can maybe actually start implementing it with some success. But right now, I still think it's teething, and we're not really certain of how it can impact the industry. I'm sure it'll be positive, but I haven't seen anyone yet fully grasp it.
Yeah. But even making the transition to AI at the moment, Nick, you still need a skilled workforce to implement it. That may be alien to many accountants, especially those in smaller practices, which covers a lot of our customers. And of course, you need to keep clients informed about developments in AI and how it may influence the way services are delivered to them. You need to invest heavily, as you said, in infrastructure, technology, commercial software. That can be a huge outgoing for especially a smaller practice. We keep coming back to the data assurance point. How do you have the the controls in place to make sure that happens? And that all comes together in an effective delivery framework, which frankly many accountants struggle to put in place. And that's where we are now with AI. Of course, you're looking at the next wave of AI coming on stream, which is going to overtake some of the more, we would call it maybe traditional in a year or two, ways of using AI for automation, data analysis. You're talking about bringing in robotics, quantum learning, and so on. I mean, that is, pretty esoteric, in terms of some of the thinking that accountants may be going through to try and deliver on some of the priorities at the moment.
And I'm just thinking, if I'm an end client, and will my accountant have to disclose to me that my accounts or some of my work has been done by AI? I'm just thinking, would that reassure me, or would that make me feel a bit uneasy? Or would I be like, actually, I would like a human to double check that and cross check that?
Yeah.
Maybe just because, as we've mentioned, that we are in that kind of early stage of it, that there's not much confidence, or we know what it can do, but maybe we're not confident of that it will do it. So I don't know, would an accountant have to disclose that this work has been produced by AI in like an engagement letter or something? I think that's maybe food for thought.
Yeah, definitely. And that comes back to some of the ethical dilemmas that I mentioned in my sort of introductory remarks. How practically accountants, report to clients, this is how we're using AI. Are you comfortable with that? And many clients might say, well, actually, no, I'm not. So thinking about the outsourcing as a ready-made solution, when I take a deeper dive into some of these areas, what I'm going to talk about is, the importance of the preparation phase, which is really the first 3 bullet points there about gaining an understanding about outsourcing services, thinking about the core business functions that may lend themselves easily to outsourcing, and also the importance of choosing the right partner and comparing suppliers. I'll also then talk a little bit about the sort of, the importance of partnership working and the need to invest in systems and processes to improve efficiency and partnership with your outsourced supplier, and also the importance of communication. That's both within your practice and also among your customers, which Nick alluded to in terms of how outputs are produced, whether it be onshore, offshore, or even by a machine, which may happen increasingly over the coming years. So if you flick over to the next slide, Nick, we'll talk about the preparation phase and, the thought processes that you should be going through when you're thinking about implementing outsource. So from the outset, critically review your capacity to deliver the objectives that you have, including skills, expertise, and workforce. So what this will do, it will quickly identify shortfalls in resources or any mismatch between your future plans and the available resources to deliver those. Also test the market with no obligation trials, or trial some of the outsourcing work with your lower risk areas, maybe some bookkeeping or some specific year-end accounts preparation, and really evaluate the outcomes of that to make sure it's technically accurate, it's high quality that you expect, and also the performance in terms of turnaround is what your clients need. So evaluate all those outcomes for quality, technical accuracy, and turnaround against your own internal performance indicators. Also seek evidence of regulatory supervision, accreditations in software, and accounting qualifications. This should be an open conversation with any outsourced supplier about some of the things they're saying on their websites or in their opening meetings with you. So test those for reality, really. And also obtain references from customers in the UK if you're thinking about an outsourced supplier. And just see what other customers think. Certainly at Initor Global, we are delighted to pass on the details of our customers to tell you about their experience of Initor Global services.
But just to jump in on that, Robert,
yeah,
I think I saw you at Accountex, and we were kind of overwhelmed by the number of outsourcing firms that were exhibitioning there. And for me, what I think that shows is outsourcing was a bit of a, dare I say, a dirty word a few years ago. But I think, did you count over 50 outsourcing companies at Accountex or something ridiculous like that? And what, for me, that really shows is that the marketplace is ready for outsourcing. Outsourcing is here. It's not going anywhere. And there's a massive adaptation of it at the moment in time. So I almost feel like if you're not outsourcing at the moment, you're missing the trend. We're talking about the trend of AI. The trend of outsourcing is here. It's exploded. It scares me to think how many outsourcing companies will be at Accountex next year. it might need a separate one for software and outsourcing. Heaven forbid.
Well, if they do that, we'll be there, Nick. You know that.
But yeah, for me that was a real big confirmation that outsourcing is here. People are utilizing it in their practice, and that there's a whole range of suppliers that are out there at the moment. And of course we work closely with Initor Global, and we have a great relationship with yourself. So I do think yourselves are a good starting point, to at least dip your toes in. Yeah.
Okay, if you flick over, I'll start, running through some of the thought processes you should be going through when looking at outsourcing as a true partnership. And not the dirty word that Nick explained a moment or two ago. So when you're contracting with an outsourced partner, you should contract for at least 12 months. Treat it like any other commercial arrangement. Have suitable break clauses, notice periods, and so on, and make sure you build on that successful preparation phase that I just described to you. Of course, contractually, it's important to detail the work to be completed, the responsibilities for delivery, and how that work is to be completed, and also the costs, because you may find yourself, asking for more work at times, at peaks in the annual cycle for accountants, and think about where those costs might need to change, throughout the 12-month cycle of your outsourcing contract. And that will help both parties understand the scope and, of course, the limit of their responsibilities. Most importantly, integrate the outsourced supplier into your operations. Update your workflows to cope with outsourcing work, where you can track what is outsourced offshore and its delivery in accordance with the terms agreed. And of course, the importance of working papers can't be underestimated. Many accounting practices follow their own fairly traditional ways of preparing working papers. Outsourced suppliers are perfectly happy to follow that in a format agreed by the onshore accountant. But of course, learn from your outsourced supplier. They provide services to many accountants, and they may have better ways of presenting your working papers, more efficient ways of recording work, and maybe provide advice or suggestions for improvement to help you along the way. And it's also a good way to build that relationship between the onshore and the offshore teams if there is a true exchange of ideas and learning on both sides. And of course, include quality and technical reviews of the outsourced supplier's work in the way that you would review any other piece of work to make sure that passes muster as far as you're concerned. And of course, client data is a paramount in the minds of most accountants. They want to be assured that that data is secure and it's being accessed through remote and secure login arrangements or through secure portals. And also communication with clients is important. Do you want the offshore supplier to do that through automated emails or even text and so on? Or do you want to hold responsibility for all of that? Make sure that you understand the scope of responsibilities for communicating with clients and to progress work. And of course, always seek continuous improvement in any relationship that you have with an offshore supplier. Continually review outcomes for success or otherwise. Look for opportunities to improve efficiencies on both sides, and make sure that you draw on the expertise of your outsourced supplier when they're sort of in the throes of the contract work and delivering for you. So taking all that together, treat outsourcing as a true partnership. It's a commercial arrangement, but there is room for learning on both sides.
And I think just Marie Collins have just made some really interesting points, actually, and I haven't thought of it this way. But how many of our attendees here actually outsource their IT and their IT infrastructure that is entrusted to a third party? I mean, I don't think this should be perceived any differently. It's very the same. Yeah. So I think that's a really good point, Marie. I haven't thought of it from that perspective. And quick, just one question, Robert. Just jumped into my head. That AI being regulated by accountancy or industry bodies, ICAEW have announced this week that they're reviewing this and looking into it. I wouldn't even know where to begin. So here we are talking about it as a boost of productivity and efficiency, but it's not actually even been approved or reviewed by any industry body yet. So I think that shows the kind of infant status or stage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned from the outset, how quickly, developments are emerging. It's almost a race to the top with AI, with a huge investment going on. Big software houses are throwing, loads of resources at this. And sometimes the regulators don't keep up. We've seen it. You mentioned crypto actually in your opening remarks. We've seen how long it's taken to get a grip on how accountants should treat, crypto transactions. How businesses use crypto in the day-to-day arrangements. That took a while to bed in, and indeed it's still emerging with different sort of cryptocurrencies and how they're used by businesses.
Brilliant, Robert. No, I thought I'd just get your thoughts on that.
Okay, yeah, so just moving on to the sort of communication phase of implementing outsourcing. Clearly regular communication between the onshore and offshore teams will underpin, a successful partnership. And that can mean weekly video conferences, regular updates and progress on blockages or any risks to delivery. And also keep responsibilities under review as relationships develop and the scope of work changes. You may wish to extend the scope of work completed by the outsourced supplier as the relationship matures and the trust builds up between you. And of course, avoid blame if things don't go to plan. Learn from any setbacks and always seek a positive way forward, learning lessons along the way. And of course, assign responsibility for relationship management within your practice. If your practice is large enough, maybe assign that relationship away from accountants so that there is quite an objective or independent review of how the contract is progressing, and also make sure it's at a suitable level of seniority to influence the partnership as it progresses. And of course, avoid relationship drift at all costs. It can be very easy for an onshore accountant just to keep sending the work relentlessly to the offshore accountant and not really check in on how things are going and making sure that the work is progressing through the system in the way that's expected. And of course, there's the people management side of things. Be clear with your staff and other accountants that outsourcing isn't a threat to their careers or their career aspirations. It's an essential business solution. to solve many of the problems that Nick just mentioned earlier. And it's only natural people will be apprehensive about outsourcing. So maintaining clear communication channels with your people and keeping them up to date in developments will really help take your people along with you. And also don't forget to evaluate the impact on people management or continuous professional development strategies. This includes training, where onshore accountants may be taking on new roles. They may be taking on a more advisory focused role that needs more sort of client engagement, or they may be undertaking more specialist tax work that requires sort of separate development needs that need to be met. So recognize those roles may change to be increasingly client-facing or may require more training to help your people through the progress of change. And of course, outsourcing can help you avoid expensive resourcing mistakes. We know we're in the throes of a recruitment and retention surge, especially in the UK. Holding on to talent is increasingly a challenge. The marketplace is extremely hot for people, progressing their careers. So recognise that you can use outsourcing as a way to avoid some of those resourcing mistakes we've all made over the years. It can also help increase your resilience against workforce pressures, especially where deadlines are looming or where backlogs of work arise. We see it through the winter months with the surge in personal tax work for our clients, and we often struggle to keep the sort of background work going on in terms of VAT returns, year-end accounts preparation, bookkeeping. You can use an outsourced supplier as a very quick means to release some of that pressure on your teams and deliver the work that your client needs. And of course, outsourcing can benefit staff morale by contracting out recurring tasks, and it can support people in their career aspirations and CPD by outsourcing some of those tasks that might be better done on a more recurring basis offshore. So that's really reinforcing the importance of people management.
And I think just to emphasize that point, the people management aspect is, I think when we did a poll in one of our last webinars, actually people management and the cost of hiring and keeping staff was actually one of the biggest concerns accountancy practices were facing. And it is huge. Like if you're a sole practitioner and you're thinking, okay, my client portfolio is just about, I've hit my peak, but I keep them doing well. I'm adding a couple clients a month, but actually hiring that first member of staff is a huge financial commitment.
Yeah.
And it's something that would actually prevent me from growing or stop me wanting to grow.
Yeah.
So I think you can really use outsourcing as an effective offshoot or side channel that can maybe make you hand over some of your more, I wouldn't say mundane, but straightforward clients, and giving you that extra capacity to grow. And also, as Robert again mentioned, I just want to double down on this point, is that if you do hire that member of staff and they want to grow and they're aspirational and they want to develop, then you can actually get them to focus on maybe more difficult accounts that require more technical knowledge. Whilst taking away those mundane tasks that maybe eat up too much of their time or eat up too much of your time. So really use it as a lever, a help lever that you can pull when you want to help you, stay ahead. And I just want to add one final point. When we started our relationship with Initor 2-3 years ago, people who were using outsourcing, in my opinion, were using it to get ahead of the game. Now I think you need to use outsourcing just to stay in the game, and I think that's really what's been the big kind of shift in these last 2-3 years. Carry on, Robert.
Yeah. I mean, just picking up on that. We talk to customers and they have different growth objectives. Some are firmly focused on growth in client numbers, and for their sort of practice arrangements, they want lots of similar customers. Maybe SMEs, sort of limited amounts of turnover, sort of contractor, freelancer type work. So they will inevitably have peaks of work every month end. They'll have a peak of work around certain year ends, 31st of March or 31st of December. So they use outsourcing as an outlet, really just to serve as many customers as possible. Other practices I talk to, they're quite comfortable with their limit on client numbers. but they want to get more out of them, in terms of selling additional services or providing services that they don't have the expertise to do so in-house. A good example of that's payroll, an often overlooked service. It needs professionals. It needs people who understand the regulatory environment. But many practices feel uncomfortable offering that service if they don't have that expertise. Buying in that expertise means you can offer that service and a more rounded offering for your clients. So we can see how outsourcing can meet those different objectives, whether it's growth in client numbers, widening the scope of services, or freeing up your capacity to spend with clients to sell on those sort of more higher margin services, shall we say, that clients often need at short notice.
Or just getting out and meeting your clients, building those relationships.
Yeah.
I think, I am fully remote. Everyone at Capium is fully remote, but it does not detract away from actually when we go meet our clients face to face and we have lunch with them. That for me can do more in 2 hours face to face than what you can maybe achieve in a year. So I think just think about how it could alleviate time pressures, cost pressures. There's so many opportunities here.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps you keep ahead of the curve with your clients and any sort of looming changes that they may have. You can understand in a bit more depth, some of the clients' plans for growth and whether you can still provide the services that they need when they sort of raise their business to the next level.
And a question that's just come from Vikas, which leads perfectly onto this slide. And it's almost like he can see it. Is if we outsource to somewhere outside of the UK or Europe, the accounting work, and what are the GDPR implications? So thank you, Vikas, for setting up perfectly. We couldn't have done it better.
Thank you. I'll take you through some of the the data security thoughts that you will go through when you're thinking about outsourcing. And just say from the outset, you will have your own data security policies, processes, and arrangements that you expect everyone in your practice to follow. So what you need to do is integrate outsourcing with those existing protocols. Make sure that if there is a data security issue, the outsource supplier knows how to spot it and knows how to report it internally in terms of your arrangements. Using cloud-based solutions means data can't be downloaded by the outsource supplier. Certainly no one at Initor can download client information, and it's accessed securely either through your onshore server. We just log in remotely, or we can use sort of secure data exchange portals, the sort of Dropbox sort of arrangements that we use from time to time with clients who may not have a fully integrated server. You can also arrange a site visit in due course, even though it's offshore. We're delighted to invite our clients to our offices in India to come and see the security arrangements we have in place. That's usually physical safeguards. Staff can't take cell phones or mobile phone technology to the desk. They need to lock that away on entry into the building. And there is CCTV as well to make sure that we know who is in the office at any single time. So there are physical safeguards as well to help protect our client data and intellectual property. And just on GDPR, typically the onshore accountant will remain the data controller, and the offshore accountant is the data processor. Certainly at Initor, we are GDPR compliant, we are GDPR accredited, and we have a periodic audit to confirm that that's still the case. We're also ISO 27001 accredited, and again we go through the standard audits that any onshore accountant will go through to make sure that we can still preserve that accreditation. And we're happy to advertise it on our website and share any details or certificates with clients or potential clients who are interested in that. Data security front of mind for most UK accountants, and a good offshore supplier will allay any concerns that you may have around that whole agenda.
I hope that addresses your question, Vikas. And I think that ISO certification is crucial. But also what I would recommend is, I'm sure I've got a question for about onboarding in a moment, but ask the outsourcing partner what they do. What would happen if things go wrong? There's nothing wrong with being prepared for the worst case scenarios, and see whether their responses and their reassurances and their processes assure you. I think these are all very valid questions that you need to ask before embarking on this journey.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Do you want to flick to the next slide as we get towards the end of the webinar, Nick?
Sure.
So really, thinking about the Initor Global customer experiences, this really is our promise to you. You will have access to expertise and talent offshore. We have around 100 accountants and other professionals supporting our UK customers. Like any practice, we have people at various stages of their studies. We'll be regulated by ACCA. People sit the exams using the sort of ACCA route, and we have many guys who are post-qualified experience working towards their CPD, and who have wide experience of a range of clients, from the smallest freelancer contractor arrangements up to FRS 102 scope businesses. So you will have access to that wide range of talent. Not just accountants, but also payroll personnel, bookkeepers as well. We can also help with your risk management arrangements, spreading the risk of not being able to deliver for your clients, making sure that you meet the quality control arrangements that you aspire to, and ensuring that you deliver on your objectives. What many of our customers see is an immediate increase in operational efficiency. And that's through really looking closely at workflows and the way what finds its way through your system onshore, making sure that that's the most efficient in terms of transmitting work to the offshore accountant and sending it back to you to be presented to your clients. Of course, there are reduced costs associated. Typically, an offshore accountant will be 50% of the cost of an onshore resource. So you'll see an immediate boost to your profitability by outsourcing work to an offshore accountant. And it also improves your resilience to shocks, any peaks of work, any sort of loss of resources, people leaving your practice at short notice. We can make sure that your practice is much more sustainable and able to cope with any of those shocks. And of course, you'll have objectives for growth, be that increasing client numbers, or offering more services, and we can make sure that those are sustainable as well. So that's pretty much the Initor Global customer experience, and we're happy to put any prospective clients in touch with our existing clients to talk about how we deliver on those bullet points. So Nick, we're getting towards the end of the presentation if you want to go into the concluding remarks. So really, artificial intelligence, it has pretty much, arrived, but many accountants are struggling to find the benefits that it will offer to their practice. Outsourcing itself offers a ready-made solution to improving productivity and efficiency. And with careful planning, an outsourced solution can be implemented quickly to boost your productivity and efficiency and help you work towards achieving those objectives. So I think we've got one more slide, Nick.
There we go.
Okay, so our offering to webinar attendees, free, no obligation trial of our services, up to 15 hours of an accountant or bookkeeping resource that you may need. You can secure a 15% discount for the first year of contract, and you can commission services on an ad hoc basis. That means every hour. Just let us know at the start of the week how many hours of work you will need from us, a half-time equivalent resource or a full-time equivalent resource basis. The FTE basis is increasingly popular. Basically, the accountant or bookkeeper works as part of your onshore team, and they're directed by you throughout all of the work that they carry out. And you'll also have a named relationship manager who's your key point of contact, and he will update you on any operational matters, and they're always available by phone, video conference, or of course they'll respond to your emails immediately should you have any burning questions. So then it's just a final slide with some contact details, Nick. And a thank you to our audience for listening and sticking with us. That's my email address. If anyone wants to drop me a direct line, or you can contact us on hello@initorglobal.co.uk. Check out our website. Yeah, there's lots of information on there, up-to-date blogs, client testimonials and case studies, which can help you. And we also accept telephone calls for those who prefer the more traditional approach. That's our telephone number there. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me. I'd be delighted to accept your invitation and have a chat through anything we can help you with in terms of your outsourcing needs and any thoughts you may have around AI and how that's impacted your practice. That was my closing remarks, Nick. Happy to take any final questions or thoughts from yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to let you get away that easily, Robert. So on a practical level, just off your points about the different service options, which I think is really interesting, is about the ability to switch on and off resources based on your workload. Like, how does that work? So I say to you, I've got X amount of work to be done. I think it's going to take 10 hours. It gets the end of the week. It could be 9 hours. It could be 11 hours. And then you just build like that. How does that work?
Yeah, it's pretty flexible. Most of our customers who use it regularly, they know what we can deliver and when. We'll have a budget in terms of the number of hours they think a job should take. As part of the onboarding process, we will look at how realistic those budgets are. If it's 5 hours to prepare a set of accounts, we'll feedback immediately whether that's realistic. Either way, we could get through the work, in a couple of hours, or it may take additional time, and we will explain that to our clients to make sure that they are, completely transparent in understanding, how we set about our work. In terms of what you may need for the coming week or even month, that's where the operational manager comes into play. Just build up your relationship with them, talk to them about the work that's in the pipeline and the number of hours that you may need from the offshore team. We tend to allocate the work to the same resource. That helps us become more efficient, and it also helps you get to know the offshore team as well. So even though it's on an ad hoc basis, you will tend to see the same accountant or the same bookkeeper delivering on it. So very much a partnership, learning both ways, Nick, and making sure that we understand the work that's coming our way, and that our clients understand how long it takes in practice to deliver on that.
Brilliant. We've got a question from Gary. Thank you, Gary, for asking. Firstly, you were late. That's okay. We can share the recording afterwards. So Gary asks, how do you handle the physical side of information delivery? So the hard copy of paperwork.
Yeah, some of our customers, they still use sort of hard copy bank statements and so on, or if we need a hard copy of a contract, they simply scan that to us. We will use secure portals for delivering that, maybe through Dropbox or something similar to that. We're happy to remotely access our client servers. So if you have a client folder, for instance, on your server, we would simply go in, have a look at the information you've scanned on there, and use that as a basis to prepare our working papers, and then transmit that back to you using exactly the same technology. We can update your customer servers, or we can just send it back to you through a secure portal like Dropbox.
Brilliant. Thank you, Robert. I hope that answers your question, Gary. My last question really is, if I've seen this webinar and I've been made aware of outsourcing for the last few years, tell me about the first practical step of getting started. What's the onboarding experience like, or what should I be aware of from that perspective?
Yeah, you'll immediately, speak to someone who's done a bit of research into your practice. They'll have a look at the sort of customers that you have and give you examples of how Initor already supports that type of client base. We'll immediately introduce you to your operational manager to make sure that you understand how the process will work from a practical point of view. We'll share CVs of our people so that you can have a look at their credentials and their experiences. And if you want to conduct an online interview with them over a video call, just to see how they would fit with your practice, we offer that facility as well. And really just making sure that onboarding process is as smooth as possible. We'll also run a few jobs through the system and just point out any areas that you could become more efficient in terms of your systems and workflows, and also agree clear performance targets to turn around work. Typically, we'll turn around a bookkeeping job in less than 5 days when we have all the relevant information. And similarly, a set of accounts takes about 5 days if we've got all the information, final reconciliations and so on, to make sure that happens within that sort of time scale. Of course, it's often more quick than that. Many of our clients, they have their own customers on bank feeds and things like that, so reconciliations can be completed quickly, sometimes within 24 hours, and bookkeeping updated as well within 24 or 48 hours. So we can do priority jobs. We can get it done, much quicker if you need it. But typically, a reasonable turnaround time's around 5 days from receipt of all the information to getting it back to you in a fit state that you can report back to clients.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I think just you speaking about that jolted my memory. I think one also real key aspect that outsourcing can do for an accountant or any business is just add more strings to your bow. Say, you despise payroll, or you despise the company secretarial work, or you might not see yourself as an expert, but you're getting pressure or questions from your client base to do those services. That's something that's perfect for outsourcing, and then you can increase your product portfolio to your own client base, or attracting new leads and prospects. You can just say yes more often instead of no. And on that last comment, really, I just want to thank you so much, Robert, for that presentation. I believe we do have another webinar coming up in the not too distant future, so please everyone stay tuned for that. Robert's details have been shared in the chat. Robert, I think someone has asked for your contact details. Maybe if you could put a number in the chat as well.
Yeah,
I think that would be great. That could be quite useful.
Yeah.
Please feel free to reach out to me and Robert, talk about outsourcing, AI, or any other kind of industry trends. It's something that we both enjoy doing. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to, so thanks again, Robert. This webinar recording will be shared post this webinar finishing.
Yeah.
And from my side, I'm relieved that we got through all the technical difficulties at the very beginning that the audience weren't party to, that we've managed to navigate through successfully.
Maybe in the future we'll get a robot to do that for us, Nick. Maybe that'll help you.
One day soon, or outsource it. But anyway, thanks, Robert, for your time as always.
Okay, thank you.
Next time, everyone.
Okay.